Once again, thank you all so much for joining us today. My name is Jeannie Jaworski, and I'm the Director of International Affairs, and I have the pleasure of working with the Sharks Abroad team. I'm joined by a few of my colleagues on this call today, so I will have them introduce themselves, our current peer advisors, so that you know the individuals you might be working with when you prepare to study abroad, and then we will have our presenter introduce herself as well. So why don't we have our two peer advisors on the call go ahead and get started. Shantae, do you want to kick us off?
All right, so hi, you can see my video and I'm connected to my phone at the same time. But my name is Shantae Lively. I am a Sharks Abroad peer advisor. I'm a senior marine biology student, and this is my second year doing Sharks Abroad. So if you need any help, you can make an appointment with me at our Calendly.
Thank you. Gianna, are you able to introduce yourself as well?
Hi, yes, my name is Gianna Allison. I am a senior art design major, and I am a new peer advisor. I can't take appointments right now, but I will soon, and I can't wait to help you get started on your.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Gianna. We're glad to have you part of our team as well. Thanks to Shantae for organizing this. And then a huge thank you to Kathy for joining us today. So Kathy Perez is a former Sharks Abroad peer advisor. She worked in our office for a year, and Kathy is a recipient of both the Gilman and the Fund for Education Abroad Awards. So we're very grateful that she took time out of her busy master's graduate student life to come back and share her expertise with us today. So Kathy, thank you so much, and take it away.
No problem. I'm so happy to be doing this again. So hello, everyone. My name is Kathy Perez. Like Jeannie said, I used to be a peer advisor here at the Nova Southeastern University. I studied abroad twice, actually. I studied abroad the first time in Seoul, South Korea with Gianna, actually. It was super, super awesome. We went for 6 weeks over the summer. And then I did the Medical London Honors course where I went to London for a week. So I know a lot about study abroad, and so I am excited to be talking to you guys about it. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for coming and listening to what I have to say. So let's get started. First, I'm going to introduce the fact that this presentation will mainly be about how to get both the Benjamin A. Gilman Scholarship and the Fund for Education Abroad Scholarship. Like Jeannie had said, I was a recipient of both, thankfully, and largely that had to do with the amount of support that I had from the Office of International Affairs and utilizing my resources, which I will also tell you guys how to do so that you can also become a recipient. So at this point right now, you guys are probably thinking about studying abroad. What does the world have to offer me? We all know with COVID, it seems like it's impossible, but really it's not. You have so much you can do. You can still study abroad. You can still intern. I'm not sure about shadowing experiences, but maybe you can also do research and volunteering. The point is you can still go abroad, whether it's virtual or in the future, which you can still keep planning for the future, no worries. You get to explore the unknown, you get to immerse yourself in a new culture, and you get to make memories that last a lifetime. I promise you, I'm still talking about my trips to this day. So to introduce basically the concept behind these scholarships, their main goals is to diversify study abroad. So what this means is that majority of their recipients tend to fall under these diversifying dimensions. It doesn't mean that you have to have them. It just means that majority get chosen in that way. So students usually be receiving financial need. They're usually receiving financial aid, which if you go to apply for the Gilman Scholarship, you definitely are, because you need to be a Pell Grant recipient. However, Fund for Education Abroad doesn't have that requirement. They also tend to be ethnic minorities, first generation, maybe you have some disabilities. And although Nova is not a community college, we are a minority serving institution, which already puts you at a one-up against a lot of the other applicants. So if you don't fall under any of these other categories, you do at least in one. You're a minority serving institution student. And then also you if you fall under the category of underrepresented fields of study, for example, STEM students, not a lot of them tend to go abroad. They think that they can't, but that's not true at all. There's so many opportunities, I promise. I will bring up these diversifying dimensions once again, but please just keep them in the back of your mind for now. First, I'm going to be talking about the Benjamin A. Gilman International Scholarship. From now on, I'm going to be referring to it as just the Gilman for the sake of my tongue. So how much can the Gilman offer you? So scholarships generally go up to $5,000. It can be applicable to an academic year, a fall term, a spring term, or even the summer term. It's important for you guys to note that your study abroad or internship program must be a minimum of 3 weeks long. So if you are a student who is going to be going to multi-destination countries, please make sure that at least one of those countries, you are there for at least 3 weeks. If not, I'm sorry, you can't apply. There's also the Critical Language Scholarship where you can earn up to an additional $3,000. So if you think about it, you can earn up to $8,000 in scholarship money for both, for the Gilman Scholarship. The Critical Language Scholarship basically, oh, let me press it one more time. It's surrounding the concept of you need to be going to this country that speaks predominantly this language. So you guys can look at the list and determine for yourselves. So for example, when I went to South Korea, I qualified because the language predominantly spoken there is Korean. So if that's the case for you, go ahead and apply to it. It's awesome. So the Gilman Scholarship gives away over 2,800 scholarships a year. There is a 1 in 4 chance that you can receive the Gilman Scholarship, although I'm just going to put it out there and say that your chances are actually increased because you go to NSU. In our last application pool, we had 7 NSU students earn the Gilman this summer, which is so much more than usual, and I'm so happy about that number. We had maybe about 10 students apply, so like your chances are increased. I promise you, you have the resources here at Nova. You have the Office of International Affairs, you have the Writing Center, you have your skills and your abilities. I promise it's gonna be awesome. And you also have this presentation now, which is being recorded, and I'm giving you guys a cheat sheet. I promise you are gonna be set. So for the Gilman, are you eligible? Well, you need to be an undergraduate US student receiving the federal Pell Grant. If you do not know if you are a recipient of this Pell Grant, please go onto SharkLink under your financial aid. It should say it there. If you don't see it, unfortunately, you are not a recipient, but this is imperative that you receive this for the regular Gilman Scholarship. You also need to be receiving academic credit for your program. This is not usually a problem for our students that go abroad for to take classes, because usually they are deciding to bring back those credits to apply for their degree. But if you are going for an internship program, not a lot of students think about applying it for credit. So if you are going to be doing an internship, please make sure that you start talking to academic advising about how to apply for credit if you're trying to get the scholarship. The other requirement is that you need to be traveling to a country that is not under a travel warning issued by the US Department of State. Now, I know that with COVID, we're not even allowed to leave the country. So technically everywhere is banned, but think about if your location would regularly be a country that the US would be letting you go to. I'm not sure if Jeannie could give me some clarification on this, but are the students able to still see that information if they wanted to?
Yes, so you can use the travel alerts, and as Kathy mentioned, right now they're kind of skewed, but you can look at the previous travel alerts to see. Otherwise, you're welcome to reach out to our office and inquire about what travel alerts have been issued in the past to see if it's likely to be allowed in the future.
Thank you, Jeannie.
I have a quick question if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I noticed that the deadline is like at the beginning of October, but since personally I'm not sure when I'll be studying abroad, am I allowed to apply it to any semester, or would the deadline of this October only be for the fall or the spring?
So if you're going to be applying for this application pool for the deadline in October 1st, you should be planning to be studying abroad sometime in the spring. So if you are thinking about, I want to study abroad later than that, then you can always just apply much later in the future. It's not something you need to like be pressured about right now, but I'm not sure if Gilman is doing this. I know that FEA for sure is letting you apply if your intention is to go in the spring. But if something happens to your study abroad program where it gets canceled or something, then you can hold those funds for the future. I am not sure if that's the case for Gilman though. So my suggestion to you is figure out as quick as you can if you're going to be studying abroad in the spring. If not, then just hold off on the application, and I've just, taken the information now so you can plan for the future.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Just add a little bit to this too. So the Gilman actually changed it a little bit. They're now allowing people to apply this October cycle for both spring and next fall. So if you plan on studying abroad anytime, any program in 2021, you can apply for this cycle. And they are not allowing you to necessarily defer it, but you could always reapply. But the Gilman cycles are twice a year, every single year. So if you're not yet sure when you want to go, you can just keep the deadlines in mind. They're always the same. It's always the first Tuesday in October and the first Tuesday in March. So you can always, have this information for now. And then when you know more about your program, you can apply for a future cycle.
Thank you, Jeannie. And then the last requirement is just, like I said, to be a minimum of 3 weeks in the country. So if you qualify, then you can start doing your Gilman Scholarship at the link that we have there. It's gilmanscholarship.org. You create an account and then you can begin your application. There are 3 requirements, and I will go into detail about specifically the essays in a second. But as soon as you start, you're going to be bombarded with all of these questions about yourself, about your program. So give yourself maybe half an hour. You don't have to sit down and do it all at once, but it will ask you specific questions about your program. So I recommend that if you do not know already what program you want, please make that decision as soon as you can, because they will be asking specifics about what country you're going to, who you're going with, and like dates and prices. If that information about like dates or prices is not up yet, please contact the study abroad provider or our office, and we can try to give you some sort of maybe estimate of past numbers, or the program provider would be the best person to contact in this case. But that's one issue a lot of students tend to have, is that they're not sure where they're going yet. And for this application, you really do need to know. Additionally, there's some questions that you might have about, like, it'll ask you, how much do you need for the scholarship, like to study abroad? Please, that includes your tuition, that includes how much money you're going to need in terms of like transportation, food, all of that stuff. I'm not sure, Jeannie, does that also include flight prices as well when they ask you about that?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So use an estimate if you don't know exactly, how much. You can use an estimate for your program, which usually most programs do give you an estimate on the flight.
Yeah, so just add all those costs together. Jeannie will be reviewing your applications, and if she sees that it's too low, she will bump it up. No worries. And also, if it's way too high, she might ask like, why? Let me just ask. So yeah, that's the home institution and program details. And then we can start getting into the statement of purpose essay and follow-on service proposal. Everything that I'm about to present to you guys is in our cheat sheet. It's a whole bunch of questions. They're also on the Gilman website on the application. So please don't stress about having to write down everything. This PowerPoint will also be provided to you. Just listen to the tips and try to see how the mechanics work of each essay. So the first essay is called the Statement of Purpose essay. Think of this as a personal statement where you're going to be answering these following questions. I will also be providing you guys with excerpts essentially of my own essay and of other Gilman winners so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So the first question is, how does studying or interning abroad impact your academic, professional, and personal goals? How would the Gilman Scholarship play a role in achieving these goals? In my essay, I personally opened up a Word doc and I started writing out individually how it's going to help me academically, how it will help me professionally as well as personally. So I just brainstormed and I just wrote. And then I came up with this little tiny quote. I am a first-generation Hispanic student in financial need, and without the Gilman Scholarship, it would be very difficult for my family to send me to Korea University so that I can accomplish these goals that they have long been supportive of. So I've already mentioned there my diversifying dimensions. I also talked about why the Gilman Scholarship is important for me. And previously in my essay, they had learned about how my program was going to impact me in all three ways: academically, professionally, and personally. Another thing, they want you to describe your study or intern abroad program. They want to know what factors led you to select it and why you chose the country and length of your program. This question screams to me, what's your backstory? How did you get to this point? What led you to choose your program? Please keep in mind that you do not want to keep it simple. You want to go into depth about what is your study abroad program. You don't want to just say, I want to go to South Korea. Okay, great. What about your program? You know, are there any distinctive components? Are you going to be doing a homestay? Are you going to be doing any volunteer activities, field research, extracurriculars? What courses are you taking? Talk about those factors. So a student had written, though I always wanted to study in Japan or South Korea, giving her backstory, it was only in Glasgow, Scotland that I found courses that matched my academic plan. It was actually the first program that caught my eye in my initial search, since 2 consecutive physics courses were rare in the world of summer abroad. So there she gave the distinctive components and talked about her study abroad program. She probably talked a little bit more also about just the program provider, but in this question, you want to go into depth as much as you can. So please look on your websites, figure out everything you can about it. Another question, how will this study or intern abroad program and the coursework you'll take impact your academic and future career goals? So this I got from just planning out and just putting my ideas together. But for mine, I majored in psychology in my undergrad and I want to be a health psychologist. So I talked about how psychology in South Korea is still a growing field and going to therapy is generally not an immediate choice that Korean people take. Learning all of this inspires me to learn more about their culture so that in the event that I have a Korean client in the future, it will be a benefit to them that I have this knowledge. In addition, learning Korean will help me greatly when trying to understand their way of expression in therapy. That entire thing just encompasses all of my future career goals, how going abroad is going to help me academically and professionally. So you want to be as clear as possible in your essay about that. So that's the statement of purpose essay. Essentially, model it as having a great introduction, going into details about like your study abroad program, and then talk about yourself. How is it going to help you professionally? How will it help you personally? And how will it help you academically? And you can finally finish with a, hi, this is why I need the Gilman. So that's your purpose of statement essay. Now I'm going to go into the follow-on service project proposal. Please don't feel overwhelmed by this. This part is not what is exactly going to get you the scholarship. In fact, they're going to place more emphasis on your personal statement. So don't feel too overwhelmed by having to come up with something completely out of the blue. So the project is essentially something that a project you're going to complete as soon as you come back from your study abroad or when you finish your program. So this project is going to promote the Gilman as well as study abroad. Those are your 2 main goals. This essay will be written in sort of more of a business proposal format. You're welcome to keep it professional, welcome to make it personal, but they're really looking for more of a, what is the goal? What are you going to do? What are the steps? And this is how it's going to promote Gilman and international education. So some of the questions they're going to ask you is, what community will your project be impacting? You can choose NSU, your neighborhood, high school students. You can get creative. For me, I chose my church and the youth group. So you can take pretty much any population you want. Also, like I said, how is it going to promote the Gilman and international education? It is important that you put in there how you're going to promote the Gilman Scholarship. There are some people that just talk about how they're just going to improve international education, and that's not what they want to hear. And they want to talk about how this will impact your chosen community. So this is the purpose statement. Next, you're going to talk about what is your target population and how will your project impact your group. And then also, how will you integrate your experiences abroad into your project? So full disclosure for mine, I just worked with my youth group, and they're kind of like Boy Scouts for Jesus, essentially, and they get these little badges, and so they have to work and learn about something to get the badge. I saw a cultural awareness badge, and so I thought, awesome, with my experiences that I'm going to take and bring from abroad, I can teach them that, hey, even though they're from a culture that's entirely different from our own, we're not so different after all. So that's how I was able to integrate my experiences, and that's how I was able to target impact my target population, because it made them think, oh wow, yeah, we're not so different after all. This culture is actually pretty amazing. So yeah, just make sure you're answering all of these questions. Also, this is just a little tip. Put in there what departments, what student orgs or community orgs you're planning to collaborate with. So if you're thinking about collaborating with somebody, mention it in there. And also, it would not be a bad idea. In fact, I very much encourage you to contact these people and find out if this is a possibility. It would look pretty amazing in your essay if you can put in there, I've already gotten a check mark to go through with this project. So this is realistic. It just makes your project seem a lot more realistic and plausible. So I would recommend doing that. Some examples of things that students have done in the past, they've blogged about their study abroad experience. They've submitted a weekly, monthly article on experiences overseas. Some have done study abroad presentations. Others have volunteered for our study abroad office, which also please come back. We love our alumni to come and volunteer for us. And you can also serve as a resource for specific countries or programs or fields of studies that would advise potential students. So for example, ISA, they have this global ambassador program. You can participate in that, and that could also be a part of your project. Or you can get creative with your talents. Each of you are very talented. So you can maybe house a photography exhibit about your experience abroad. Get as creative as possible. Don't stress too much, but please make sure that it is a well-written essay. Now I'm going to talk a bit about the Critical Language Award. So I personally did not get to apply for this scholarship, but these are the questions that Gilman's going to ask you. It's for students that are trying to really improve their language skills and show that dedication and how they're going to bring it back to the US. So they want you to describe how you intend to improve your language skills, how you plan to increase your proficiency inside and outside of the classroom setting while you're abroad. Why do you want to improve your language proficiency? How do you intend to use your language when you come back from this study abroad experience? I promise you, you will learn a lot and then soon forget a lot of it too if you do not keep practicing. Also, you need to include there, how is the Critical Need Language Award going to prepare you for this? Also, what are the benefits of studying the language in the country you chose? So I'm just going to put it out there. A lot of the languages that are on the list are because the U.S. does a lot of has a lot of partnerships with them, or there's a lack of people speaking that language in our country, so they need those people to help translate. So you would be a great resource to them, essentially. So show them that you would be that great resource. So if my program is in Australia and it offers Japanese, can I count for the Critical Need Language Award? No, unfortunately, it has to be in a country where it's predominantly spoken. Besides, why would you go study Japanese and not go to Japan? Like, come on. That's a good point, Rue. So this is for students who might be a dependent child of an active duty military member. You have the ability to qualify for a $5,000 scholarship as a part of the Gilman. This one is called the Gilman Scholarship. It is not much different from the regular Gilman. Your requirements are still the same. The only difference is that you do not necessarily need to be a Pell Grant recipient. And you also need to be a dependent child of an active duty military member. I am putting emphasis on those two words because you cannot qualify if your parent is no longer active or you're an independent person. So if you are falling under that category and you're a recipient of any Title IV federal financial aid, you can go ahead and apply. I got clarification from Jeannie today that if you are a dependent child of an active duty military member and you are receiving the Pell Grant, you can actually apply for the regular Gilman and you will automatically be considered for the Gilman-McCain. However, if you are not receiving the Pell Grant and you are a dependent child of an active duty military member, you can go ahead and just apply to the Gilman-McCain. So it's two different places on the site. I would recommend just including in your regular Gilman Scholarship application that you are a dependent active duty military member. They will ask you for this and ask you to provide proof, so that way you can be considered for the Gilman McCain. Okay, I answered that question. Okay, so this is the timeline for the Gilman Scholarship. The deadline is October 6th, so you have a little bit, about less than a month, but I promise you that is more than enough time. I worked on my Gilman for about a month, so if you get started now, you should be able to get it done. Keep in mind also, your deadline is the 6th, Jeannie's deadline is the 13th. She will go over and review your application and she will approve it. Please do not bombard her. She will get to you. I promise you, she sets a day apart for you and the Gilman. This is the biggest scholarship that we have. She will not forget about you. So if you see that it's like October 12th and she still hasn't approved it, I promise you, she just hasn't gotten to you. And then you guys can read the timeline for the rest, but please keep in mind, you'll be notified sometime in late November and accepting the awards in December for your scholarship award. So also, you guys can go ahead and also, if you're planning to study abroad in like the summer or the fall, you guys have another deadline. It's March 3rd. You guys can start the early application now, but keep in mind, you're not gonna find out until April if you got the scholarship. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the Fund for Education Abroad Scholarship. For the sake of myself, I'm going to be referring to it as the Fda Scholarship. So just to let you guys know, and this is not something about my own ego or anything, it's just for you guys to know, I am the only recipient from NSU to have gotten this award, meaning that everything that I'm telling you guys that I might not be sure about is because I'm just taking a guess. But I still know pretty much how the scholarship works, what they're looking for in their recipients, and I'm just going to give you guys the tips and tricks that I use that got me this scholarship. First of all, before I start, please note that the Fda Scholarship deadline for spring 2021 is September 16th, 2020 at 12 p.m., not at night. It is in the middle of the day. And if you're thinking, oh no, I can't do this in a week, that's not possible, please do not click away. I promise you, you have enough time. I got notice about the scholarship 2 weeks before the deadline and I still got it. You have enough time, I promise. So how much can you receive with the Fda Scholarship? For an academic year, you can get up to $10,000. For the fall or spring semester, you can get up to $5,000. And for the summer semester, it depends on your program length, but awards will begin at $1,250. Full disclosure, if you guys want to have some sort of estimate to keep in mind, my program was 6 weeks long and I received about $2,000. So if you want to make that note for yourself, try an estimate, go ahead. So do you qualify? You need to be a US citizen or a permanent resident. You need to be an undergraduate student, which you all are. And again, receiving academic credit for your program. And your program must be at least 4 weeks or 28 days long in the country or countries. There are 4 application requirements. The first one is the online application. Everything on here will be uploaded to that same portal, but the online application, similar to the Gilman, it's going to ask you about your program provider, about yourself, all of that stuff. So again, please make sure you know what program you're going with and for how long. This section also includes 2 essays, which I will talk in great lengths about in a while. You'll also need to upload an unofficial transcript. You can figure that out by going onto SharkLink and viewing your unofficial transcript. Just download it as a PDF and upload it to the application. And then there's also a financial aid form. This one, I recommend you guys, if you are interested in going for the Fda Scholarship for the spring 2021, I recommend you go onto the Fda Scholarship website, make an account, and download that form to send it immediately. The reason I say it is because the one-stop shop, they might take a bit processing this. It will not take longer than a week. I have seen cases where students, aka me, needed it in like 3 days, and they told me it was going to be impossible. I needed to be in it for a week. You might have to annoy some people. I don't recommend it, but please note that it can be turned in with like days before. But please give yourself enough time, but you don't want to be annoying anybody because then they might not do it right. So yeah, just download that, turn it into the correct people, and then they will send it back to you. Another thing you do not want to save for the last minute, a letter of recommendation. You only need one. And I will tell you guys this right now. Do not ask anybody to write you a letter of recommendation if they do not know you well. This scholarship is very picky, so you want to choose somebody who knows you very well, can speak on your personal behalf about you as a student and your ambition to go abroad. So if you have to do a quick meeting with your bio teacher, just like, hi, I want to go abroad, here's why, please write a letter of recommendation, do so. Please don't choose your bio 1 teacher that you did not like go to his class and try to make up for in SI sessions, okay? Please just go ahead and ask somebody who really, really knows you. So where do I apply? You go online at fundforeducationabroad.org/applicants. I know that's from last year, but I promise it's the same website. You can create an account with SurveyMonkey and you begin the application there. So wait, how competitive is this scholarship exactly? Well, out of a pool of 2,354 applicants, 133 were selected for the 2019-2020 application. But don't worry, I have tips for you. I know it sounds really picky and that it seems impossible maybe that you would get it, but it's not. I promise you, I did not think that I was very special and I still got chosen. So I'm pretty sure you amazing people can be chosen. So I made a fake account again, and I wanted to see if the essays were the same. I promise they are. This took me forever to do. So I promise you guys all the tips that I'm going to be giving you guys now, they come from what I was thinking about at the time and sort of the mindset I got myself in when I was writing the essays. These again are my guesses as to what they're looking for, but it's also a very educated guess. So the Fda Scholarship, if you are a recipient, you will be required to maintain a blog for at least once a week, every week that you're abroad. That it's not anything like burdening at all. In fact, you're going to be super excited to write it because you're going to be abroad and want to talk about everything. The purposes of those blog posts are going to be to reflect on your experiences, talk about, oh, this is what I'm facing. These are the thoughts that I'm having. So they're trying to look for people who essentially will be interesting to read a blog from. So this essay, the first one, is similar to your personal statement essay that you would have submitted for Gilman, but don't think, oh, I'll just use the same essays. No, they need to be, the voice needs to be different. For this essay, you want to make it more of a story. So you want to talk about your intended study abroad program, why you've chosen this program, and how you anticipate that it will build on your previous experience and support your future goals. Please be specific. I am telling you guys, please be super specific. When you write this essay, make it your own story. How is it that you got to the point that you are now? In mine, I talked about how I was lying on the couch one day and I found my study abroad program. And as soon as I started at Nova, I was right at the door of the study abroad office. And I made it a story. It's important. Please make it a story. You can still make it professional if that's not your writing style, but make sure that you sound interesting enough so that way they can think, oh, I would really like to read a blog from this person. I support this person. They really want reflective people as well, because they don't want to read a blog post about somebody who's just like, I went out for coffee today. I went out with my friends. I went to class. No, they want to hear, oh, I experienced this. It made me think about my personal self and like how that's going to change my outlook in life and stuff. So the more reflective you are and the more you can show it, the better. Also, show that you have done research on your country. That also really sticks out to them. The second essay is more what I've been talking about for the last few minutes about the blog post. So this essay is kind of the same essay that they would provide you with for the blog. So studying abroad is often challenging, requiring participants to be open-minded and persevere in sometimes isolating circumstances. Please describe a personal experience in which you were similarly challenged to demonstrate these qualities. This question had me pondering for about a week, but please choose an experience that made you think twice about maybe your actions, made you think about your situation and how you can grow from it. Please also don't put anything that's too personal. You also want to protect yourself, and just choose a very impactful circumstance that you experienced. For mine, I chose how I went to a camping trip with my church and how I was just complaining the whole time because I didn't have a clean bathroom. I had to use a porta potty. And I noticed that my mom wasn't complaining at all. And I wondered why. Keep in mind, I was like 12. So, and then I realized she wasn't complaining because she was from Guatemala, which is a country that doesn't have these things normally. So here I was being a privileged American, being like, I want this, I want that. But then after I changed my mind, I realized my trip got so much better after that, and I was able to grow from it. So something like that, please write about. So Rue, are there any other benefits to applying? Yes, actually, as long as you meet the requirements, you can be eligible to receive additional scholarships with your FEA application. What? What that means is that FEA has an Access Partner Scholarship. So if you see the logo of any of your study abroad providers there, if you meet the requirements, you can actually be entered into other scholarships and receive those as well. So apart from applying to the general FEA scholarship, you're also entered into these, and you can possibly win this or the FEA scholarship. So these are tips for both the Gilman and FEA scholarships, but I'm just going to open the floor and say that this is for any scholarship essay referring to study abroad or just in general. Please do not procrastinate. Like I said, FEA is due next week. You want to be able to give yourself that time to plan and think about it and just like turn in the best essay possible. Don't be like me. I literally wrote my essays 2 days beforehand, and I didn't even get it the way that I wanted it. Pre-plan your essays, brainstorm. Like I said, I'm going to provide you guys with that cheat sheet. It has all of the questions. If you want, type them out into a Word document. If that's not your writing style, just go ahead and write until you feel like happy about what you wrote. Make your essays short, sweet, and to the point. This does not mean I don't want you to meet the character limit or the word limit. It means that I want you guys to not go on and on and on and on and on about something that's not going to give them the answer to the question that they're asking. Be short, be sweet, and to the point. Send your essays to your families or your family members. Who knows you better than them? To tell you if your essays actually reflect the passion that you've been showing them about your endeavor to go abroad. Also, utilize the Writing Center or go to your random strangers and just ask them, hey, do you want to read my essay? Reason being is because strangers are going to be reading your essays. So if they get impacted by your essay, you know you've done your job. Also, Jeannie would be a great resource. I'm not sure if she would be open to receiving. Okay, awesome. Also, Irish Sharks Abroad peer advisors. I used to be one. I promise you, I had meetings upon meetings, and I was so excited to hear everybody's essay. The Sharks Abroad team will be there for you. Make an appointment with them. They have heard me do my advising hours, so they know what the Gilman and what the FEA is looking for. You can also brainstorm with them if you want. They'll be there to help you and guide you throughout the whole process. They can edit for you. They can do everything except write the essay for you. So please make an appointment with them. I really recommend it. Also, the number of characters, including spaces. Please do not write directly on the application nor include formatting. The only reason I say this is because if you're writing your essay on there, you might accidentally submit your application and then you have a problem. Or if your computer crashes, you just lost your entire essay. So please write it first on another word processor and not on the actual application. Another tip that I want to just throw in there that I forgot to put in there, please do not write anywhere in your essays, studying abroad will expand my horizons or something like that. These people know that study abroad is amazing. You don't have to convince them. You want to convince them why you studying abroad would be amazing, okay? Also, this is your story. Write it and own it. Don't tell them what you think they want to hear. Tell them about your case. Tell them about how you want to go abroad. First person will make the connection and think about how you want your ideas to flow. Think about what key points matter to you the most. Is it the professional development? Is it the personal development? Is it going abroad and just experiencing something new? Also, open with an enticing introduction. Make it cool. You can put a meaningful quote. You can put an allusion. You can include a lot of imagery. And mine, I just talked about what I imagined would happen from the moment I got off the plane to the second I got to Korea University. It made it super interesting, and I would recommend you do something similar in your own style. Also, again, talk about your diversifying dimensions. This is on the cheat sheet, but if you are, if you fall into any of those categories, please mention them. It can be very subtle. Like for me, I just wrote, I'm a first generation Hispanic student. That got the job done. Also, you can talk about how your participation will help others. Again, this could be subtle as well. You don't have to say how it's going to change the world if you go abroad. But like in my case, I am a first generation student, and I talked about how my participation was going to help possibly my little sister be inspired to go and break barriers that our family members never did before, or inspire other first gens to do the same. You can talk about also the importance of global awareness in your field, perhaps, or how cultural immersion would be helpful for you. Talk about how you're going to benefit as well. Again, even if there's only a week, you can still apply for either scholarships. I promise you, you have enough time. And like I said, let the Sharks Abroad office help you out. You can make an appointment with a peer advisor. You can go to, is it calendly.com/sharksabroad? So yeah, make an appointment. They're there for you. We give you feedback. We read your essays, and yeah. Also, just for you guys to know, the NSU deadline for spring programs is October 1st. So please go onto our website at nova.edu/sharksabroad and begin your application. It is free. It's very simple. You can, if you change your mind before October 1st, you can resubmit another application. This deadline is set by us, but we highly recommend that you get it in before this deadline or on the deadline. There are rare cases where we do extend it, but please talk to Jeannie beforehand and give her that notice. So are you guys ready to go abroad? And I'm opening the floor for questions. So go ahead and just, if you want, unmute yourself, and then we can start answering questions.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I really appreciate you giving a thorough overview of how you got both scholarships. Kathy gave exceptional advice. So, you know, one of the things that Kathy said over and over again, that this is your story. And so really make sure that you recognize that the tips that she gave were perfect for a framework, but you have to bring your own passions to the essays. One thing I want to do also is, if you don't mind, Kathy, I'm going to take the screen sharing from you and show on our website where students can see additional lists of study abroad scholarships.
Perfect.
Go here. All right. Okay. So if you go to our main Sharks Abroad website, it's just nova.edu/sharksabroad, and then you click here on finances and scholarship. That's going to take you a page where you can see a bunch of these other awards as well, where you can look into them. Of course, the two that we talked about today are going to be listed under external awards. So we talked about the Gilman, we talked about the Fund for Education Abroad. There are others. If we have anyone here who has a very high GPA, you might be eligible for the Phi Kappa Phi Award. One really nice thing about the Fund for Education Abroad, as well as the Gilman, and Kathy talked about this a little bit for the fund, is that a lot of our partners, so these are all of our study abroad partners here, a lot of them are going to be offering some sort of Gilman match or Fund for Education Abroad Partnership Award. So if you get the Gilman or you get the FEA scholarship, it opens the door to additional scholarships that you're eligible for, some that you don't even have to apply for. So for example, we have partners who, as long as you CIEE, if you even apply for the Gilman, you're automatically considered for an award. Even if you don't get the Gilman, you'll be able to get that award. Others, if you get the Gilman, it'll automatically match the Gilman and give you additionals. Or if you get the Gilman, it'll automatically give you $2,000. So the Gilman and Fund for Education Abroad really open a lot of doors there as well. So you can always visit this website to learn more. There are very few study abroad scholarships available at NSU as well. So there's a few available. One is if we have any students who are part of the Honors College, you might be able to get some of your funds reimbursed. So if you have to pay for your plane ticket, you might be able to have some money coming back to you after you complete your study abroad program, which is always nice, because if you spend all of your money studying abroad, then you can get some additional money when you come back. And then we have a few others that you can look into here to see if you're eligible for as well. So I just wanted to make sure everyone had those resources as well. Are there any questions?
Oh, very quickly, I just want to put it out there. Although I am a very busy master's student and I cannot read your essays because I don't have time, if you guys have any last minute questions that you want to hear from like an actual recipient, please, you can email me. Just put in like the subject line, Fund for Education Abroad Scholarship in caps or something, so that I can get to it as soon as I can and answer your questions. unfortunately can't read your essays, but again, please go to the Sharks Abroad team. They're
Yeah, and I'm happy to review essays as long as you give me 2 business days to do so and give you feedback. Typically students, there are of course some students who just are exceptional writers and are doing a really great job at this, but usually there's a much higher success rate with students who get feedback from someone from our office before they submit, so that you get those resources.
So you have to apply through the school to like be able to study abroad, and then you
Yeah.
also have to apply to your program too.
Yes. So from our Sharks Abroad website, which did I end my screen share, or you all still see my screen?
we can still see your screen.
Okay. So let me go to nova.edu, Sharks Abroad. So from my screen, if you click on the study abroad application, I'm not going to do it because my view will list all of the student applications, so I don't want you to see other students' private data, but when you click on this, it'll take you to our study abroad application, and then that will be where you apply. So it is a 2-step process. First, you apply to NSU for approval, and when you get that approval, we work with your academic advisor, we work with the conduct check at NSU, and then we also, if you're in like a Razor's Edge program, we'll get approval from them. And then once we give that approval, then you apply directly to your program. And the primary reason that we do that is we want to make sure that you don't commit any money. So a lot of our study abroad programs have things like application fees or confirmation fees, and we don't want you to put any money down in case there's a concern with your application, either because of a conduct reason or because your advisor is concerned about your ability to transfer the credit back or something like that.
Jeannie, I just wanted to ask a question as if I were a student. Some students might be confused if they have to be accepted by NSU to apply to the scholarship programs, the scholarships. Is that something they have to worry about or no?
That's a great question. So because our deadline is October 1, for the Fund for Education Abroad, you might not have already submitted your application to study abroad yet, and that's okay. The Gilman Scholarship is after our study abroad for the winter, but before for the fall. So it's not, required that you do, but if, remember, I have to approve all of these. So if you try, if you submit your application and I get notified that I'm supposed to review it by Gilman and you don't already have an approval, I'm going to tell you then to apply before I'll move forward. So it is required before kind of I work on the process on the back end, but it's not required before you actually submit the application. And just, I guess, a tiny bit of clarification. One of the questions I have to answer when I do my certification is this student approved to study abroad? And so that's part of the reason why that's a requirement, is that you apply with us first. Any questions? Right. Well, if there is nothing else, once again, I want to thank Kathy so much for sharing all of her expertise in this. I'm hopeful that I'll have many more study abroad applications, certifications to be doing in the next couple of months or even future cycles. And then hopefully we'll have many other future recipients of the Gilman and the Fund for Education Abroad Award. Thank you so much, Kathy, Shantae, Gianna, Naya, thank you for being here, to our Sharks Abroad peer advisors, and everyone else, please reach out if you have any questions about studying abroad. I guess one other plug.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to be at Recruiter Shark all next week. We've got sessions every single day, so you're welcome to come to our Recruiter Shark sessions. You're welcome to meet with a Sharks Abroad peer advisor, and you're welcome to use that link that I put in the chat to kind of move forward. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great upcoming weekend.